More than a cure for loneliness, having pets has an important and real effect on our lives. Pets make us healthy. Tonight on Call with the Prairie Doc.
Starting this season, we are offering a Facebook Live option for our viewers to still be able to watch the show during the regular broadcast times on Thursday nights and ask questions. All you need is either your laptop, tablet, or a mobile device, such as your smartphone, to view the show. Here's how to do that. First, log into your Facebook account. If you don't have a Facebook account, go to facebook.com and complete the information to create an account. In the search bar, type in Prairie Doc. Make sure to click like on our Facebook page so you can get updates and notified when we are going live. Each Thursday on the Prairie Doc's page, you will be able to see a live broadcast of the newest episode. You can also ask Dr. Holm questions via Facebook Live. All you have to do is ask your question in the comment bar and await a response. If you miss a show live on Facebook, it will be available later both on the Prairie Doc Facebook site or at prairiedoc.org.
Good evening and welcome to On Call with the Prairie Doc. Dogs have been called man's best friend. In the Old West, you could be shot for stealing a horse. The ancient Egyptians worshipped cats. People have always had a close relationship with animals, and as it turns out, we have benefited in many ways from that relationship. That's our show tonight. But first, let's take a look at this week's Prairie Doc quiz question. I'm having trouble with anxiety. Should I A, get a service dog for anxiety, or B, get an emotional support dog? Viewers who call in the correct answer will be entered into a drawing to win a signed copy of our book, The Picture of Health. Each of my essays, originally written for this show, comes with a wonderful accompanying photograph by Dr. Judith Peterson. We'll announce the answer and the winner at the end of the show. But remember, you only have 10 minutes to get your answer in. We answer your medical questions about pets as they're called in the whole night long. And you can send them in, or you can call them in or go Facebook or email. Call in your questions to 1-888-376-6225, or send us an email to the address on the screen. Joining us tonight is Dr. Elizabeth Droke, who is a researcher and a registered dietitian teaching at SDSU, doing research here at SDSU as well in health and nutritional sciences. We're going to want you to call in your questions, but you can call in your questions about pets, you can call in your questions about service animals, or you can call in your questions about dietary issues as well. We want your questions, and if you want to call in a comment about your pet, we're welcoming all that. Well, you started working in the service animal world. I mean, I know you did research on animals, right?
Yep.
I mean, you were talking about ruminants, cows. And
Yep. My graduate work was in animal nutrition. And so I worked with sheep and I worked with cattle. We looked at the influence of vitamins and minerals on their immune system. And then how did they respond to respiratory diseases?
And did you find out, what did you find?
We found out that cattle that ended up being stressed did benefit by getting supplemental injections of selenium and vitamin E when they were vaccinated for the respiratory diseases. And so then when we would follow them in their pens and stuff, we would take temperatures, monitor signs for respiratory distress. The ones that actually got the injections performed better. They gained more weight. They were healthier.
So that supplement was?
Selenium and vitamin E. So given via injection for them, because it's not that easy to give a cow a pill.
Okay, yeah, I suppose.
So,
now that's not been worked out with humans at this point. Selenium and vitamin E.
We know that they're important, and deficiencies can cause issues with the immune system for one, as well as a whole bunch of other issues, but
you get enough in a normal diet?
Yes, in a normal diet. So eating food, you don't really need to take a supplement for selenium and vitamin E. Vitamin E, there's been some evidence that maybe vitamin E supplements might help decrease the risk for heart disease, but that could be, it depends on family history, et cetera, lifestyle in general, exercise.
Yeah. I know that there
stuff.
was one large study that showed that it didn't make any difference, and another that it might have been, if anything, a little detrimental. So we're not pushing selenium or vitamin E, but in cattle, it works.
It can, yep.
But then, so you got a PhD in, what was that?
Actually in nutrition. It was in an interdepartmental nutrition program. So there were those of us that at the time were in animal nutrition, but we also had grad students that were in human nutrition. And so we took a lot of the same classes together, because there's a lot of similarities between animals and humans in terms of nutrition and some health things as well.
And then you went on to get training in human nutrition.
Yes, yep. And then so about 6 years post-PhD, I went back to school to get my registered dietitian certification, which was a little bit different. I've never taken an exam via computer, but that's what I had to do for my RD exam.
Yeah.
And then that led to my current path, which is teaching and research at a university.
Right.
So in human nutrition.
So what research are you doing right now, Liz?
Mostly looking at the influence of what we call bioactive food components, like omega-3 fatty acids, the good fats.
Omega-3 fatty acids.
And how they impact inflammation. And then most recently, we're getting into mental health.
And do we see inflammation reduced by vitamin E? Adequate doses?
Yes, you can. Yep.
Omega-3.
Yes, and omega-3s as well. But again, like if you eat fish, if you eat chia seeds, walnut seeds, you're getting the omega-3 fatty acids as well as other nutrients that can help decrease inflammation. And we know that when you look at the brain and we look at mental health issues, that almost every single one of them has an inflammatory component to them. And so we currently right now have a study going on with undergraduate students where we're looking at their intake of omega-3 fatty acids. What do they know about omega-3 fatty acids? And then we're also doing some screeners for depression and anxiety so that we can look at some correlations because we know college students struggle.
Yeah. Well, that's a real hard time in anybody's life.
It is.
And so if there's some inflammation going on in the brain, for goodness sake. Now, let me ask you this. I've been a big fan of ground flaxseed for 1,000 years.
Yep.
Mostly because I'm a guy who looks a lot at the colon. I mean, colon health has been an issue in my medical world because, particularly in geriatrics, a lot of people have problems. Ground flaxseed is the first thing for people with constipation, and oh my gosh, they also get omega-3s with it.
Yep.
Any problems with recommending ground flaxseed?
There's not, as far as I know. The only thing to be careful of is that the omega-3 that's in ground flaxseed is alpha-linolenic acid, or ALA. And when we consume that ALA from flaxseed, our conversion to the longer chain fatty acids such as EPA and DHA, which help our brain health and our cognitive function, is not that great. So whereas if you take fish, and especially the cold water fatty fish that have been, eating phytoplankton and those kinds of sources of
the deep sea fish.
Yes, the deep sea fish that have been eating the ALA, they convert that to EPA, DHA, store it. So then when we consume the fish, we're getting a large amount of that EPA and DHA. So, if a person doesn't like to consume fish and they don't want to take fish oil, then yes, taking flaxseed, chia seeds, walnut seeds will help. We just need to remember that we don't quite confirm.
Fish is the best.
Yes.
Walnuts.
Yeah. Walnuts are good too, but again, it's ALA.
Fish.
Yep.
Right. Fish oil supplements, okay.
Within reason. I think, again, talking to your doctor, because everybody can be individual. Depends on what other medications you're taking, because we have to be careful of drug-nutrient interactions. Does the person have issues with bleeding? So then fish oil may not be. Are they on blood thinners?
Yeah, and you don't know what kind of quality are in those supplements. You don't know.
Right. And that's where it pays to do your research. Buy from a reputable company that tastes them. Yep.
I kind of like Nature Made.
Yep.
Okay. So why in the world are you into pets? I mean, I learned this.
Yep.
Everybody said, you've got to talk to Liz, because she's the one. You're on campus that is involved with service animals or knowledgeable about them. So what got you into them?
When I started on faculty at the school I was at before I came to SDSU, faculty jobs as an assistant professor are pretty stressful. I knew I wasn't exercising, I wasn't eating right, I was getting stressed, and I needed something to help relieve that stress. And I'd had a dog growing up and had a lot of fun with him, and I thought, I need a dog as an adult. And my landlord at the time was saying, well, just get a cat. And I'm like, well, you can't really walk a cat. So, so that's kind of what led me to dogs. And then over time, as I got to training the dogs, I got to meet people who were involved in comfort therapy dog work. Then when I moved here to South Dakota, to Brookings and SDSU, I formed my own training business for family pets, basically. So
Right.
basically, you know, having good manners for dogs.
It isn't, you're not teaching service dogs.
Not through my SDSU job or my business, but that business led to a connection with a service dog organization out of Sioux Falls.
And you've been involved with
Yep,
that.
and I've been involved with them for about 2 or 3 years now.
Yeah.
So, and I train basically teams up here in the Brookings area that, especially during the winter, may not be able to make it down to Sioux Falls.
So we have horses in my family.
Okay.
I have a daughter who wanted horses, and it was one of those, okay, Julia. Yes, we'll get, and her mother wanted the horses too. I mean, it's we have family horses. And my daughter really loves those horses. What do you know about horses and that same emotional connection that people have?
People can have strong connections with horses.
Really can.
There are numerous programs that will take kids who are at risk or troubled. You know, maybe they have had run-ins with the law multiple times. There can be places like ranches or camps that have horses, and so the kids can be sent there, and then they are responsible for the day-to-day care of those horses. So by taking care of this living animal that really then can give you unconditional interaction back, it's not judgmental, and so they learn how to groom, they learn how to feed, they learn how to take care, they learn how to saddle. Some camps, ranches can do competitive sports with them as well. And so it's just a huge boost in self-confidence. It gives them a sense of responsibility. For some of the individuals, it may get them out of isolation as well.
Yeah.
So, and
Wonderful thing.
there's actually now with miniature horses, some of them are being trained to actually be guide dogs for the blind. Or in a way, the equivalent of a guide dog for
a guide horse.
A guide horse for the blind. Yep. So, which is pretty interesting to see when you see a picture, because the miniature horses are maybe 28 inches tall, so they're not that much bigger than a dog, like a Labrador Retriever, that's used as a guide dog for a blind person.
But they have to be housebroke.
They do have to be housebroke, and they do have to be trained. So,
But and they're not these big, huge horses that you see pulling the Budweiser.
No. That would be, that one you could not take into some place, you know, like the grocery store and stuff, or a restaurant. They would not fit underneath the table, out of the way. So.
Okay. The value of interaction with animals isn't just with cats and dogs, but larger creatures offer a different level of contact that brings good things to everyone involved.
STARS program is a therapeutic horseback riding program for people with disabilities. The program's been around for more than 20 years in the Brookings area. Basically, anybody that has a diagnosed disability can be a part of our program. We have as young as 3 years old and as old as 65. They complete an application and they have a doctor's permission that they're physically able to participate in our program. Our program runs from June, July, August, and September, so we have 4 sessions. And each of the sessions runs 7 rides. And so we're out here every Tuesday and Thursday evenings from about 5 to about 7:30. So when we put them on the horse, we'll lift them on the horse, and depending on if they have good balance, that they can ride by themselves, or we will have another rider be their back rider and to support them in the saddle. They are very, very stiff. After about the 3rd time, we see that those muscles actually relax. And then the ride is much more enjoyable because you're not so tense on the horse. And then they're also socializing with others. Oftentimes they're talking with the volunteers that are walking alongside the horses. And we build a bond with them. We make it a minimal charge. We offer 7 rides for $30. And so we are United Way funded, so they support our program. We are a nonprofit organization. We're a program for Brookings area. That means the surrounding communities are welcome as well. We work with Advance because of the adult population that we work with. They're real good about handing out applications or getting to know people. Just the pure joy of coming out and working with people, riding horses, the connection between people and horses is phenomenal. They can't wait to ride the horses. They're just so excited.
This is your show. Your questions are key to our show discussion. Make it part of your show. Call in your question. Call in about the value of your pet. Make a comment. 1-888-376-6225. Or send us an email to ask@prairiedoc.org. I thought that STARS program, my daughter was involved when she was a teenager, as a volunteer person, and it made the whole idea of horses alive for her. And of course, that's part of the reason why we have horses,
Yep.
So what experience do you have with horses and helping people?
Well, unfortunately, as a youngster, I was not successful in convincing my dad to buy me a horse. So I didn't get a horse, but over time, as I went off to school and stuff, I had a chance to be involved. I took riding lessons at multiple places, which was a lot of fun. Got me out and about, got me out of my apartment. I didn't have dogs at the time. So it was just a way to interact with animals again, because I grew up on a farm. We didn't have horses on the farm. We had sheep, cattle, pigs, no horses. And then I've actually had a chance in a previous state that I lived in to also be involved in a similar program of STARS. And that was just so much fun, just to see these young kids who were having challenges in their life come out there and just to see their faces light up when they saw their horse and when their horse was brought out and when they got on the horse and riding. It's just to see that connection and to see, this individual who's been so withdrawn. And then to see, and I heard friends talking about too, is they would be, commenting about some of the various kids that were riding, and they would say, well, when this youngster came, they were so hunched over, when they got on the horse, and now look at him, and he was sitting up straight, was relaxed. So just the benefits of it is just amazing. And I wish I had more time to be involved with that kind of stuff, because it's just so beneficial.
The veterans have had some benefit from this.
Yep.
We have some questions, and thank you for your call in, and we appreciate your comments as well. A 70-year-old Nebraska woman asked if there is a school or how does a dog get registered as a service dog of any kind?
Well, it really comes down to what disabilities does that person have, and then what tasks or jobs do they need that dog to do in order to mitigate their disability, because that comes down to the definition of a service dog. Is a dog that is trained for an individual who is disabled and can't, let's say, they have back issues due to an injury at work or due to military service or whatever, they can't bend over to pick things up. So then a dog then could be brought in and trained to provide mobility assistance for that person by being able to pick up things. So if the person dropped their keys. So that's a specific trained task. So that's the definition of a service dog. And then there are multiple ways to get a service dog. There are what we call program dogs. So like when you're looking at seeing eye dogs, there's various programs there that will have their own dogs that get bred, or they have connections with breeders. And a lot of times those are going to be Labrador retrievers. And so then when the puppies are weaned and they're brought in, then they're evaluated, and then they may be sent to puppy raisers.
Right.
And so then they go through training and all that kind of stuff up to about 1.5 years of age or so. And then they start in the formal task training, more obedience skills, et cetera. So that would be what we would call a program dog.
Well, and that's a lot of training, isn't
That's
it?
a lot of training, which is
1.5 years before they start training.
probably at least, yeah.
And then the training lasts?
It could take probably up to 2 years or more, because again, you're looking at not only good obedience manners for going out in public, or what we call public access skills, but you're then also looking at specific tasks that service dog needs to do for its owner.
So a service dog, like a seeing eye dog, gets to be about 4 years old before she or he.
It can be. Yep.
Now, these are almost always what breed?
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't
it depends, service dog wise, it depends on what do you need that dog to do for you. So for guide dog for the blind, or a dog that needs to provide mobility support, so like balance and brace and a harness, those are going to be the larger breed dogs.
Yeah.
Those tend to be your Labrador retrievers because they're taller. They also have the build for that. But other dogs, when you start talking about medical alert dogs, the psychiatric dogs for like PTSD, anxiety, and depression, they could be small. They could be a Maltese.
Wow.
So
we had a Maltese. That's interesting. I heard that the whole seeing eye dog started, and I don't have this for sure, but started after World War I when someone from Switzerland, an American woman, saw German soldiers that were now, you know, post-war, blinded by war, and had taught their dog, their German shepherds, and it was German shepherds at the time, and then they started the whole thing in Switzerland.
Right.
Isn't that an amazing story?
It is.
And then it came to America because of that.
Yep.
But now we have mostly dogs for service dogs in the United States.
Yep.
Miniature horses, but mostly dogs.
Yep, mostly dogs, because that's when you look at the Americans with Disabilities Act, that is what is defined, and that is an actual dog as a service animal. But there is some changes with the newer regulations that do allow miniature horses as well.
So that's the ADA, the American
Yep.
Disabilities Act, and they address dogs only except for miniature horses too.
Yep.
And that's service animals.
Yes.
And that
Yes.
could be for blind, for hearing disabled, for
Right.
psychiatric disabled, diabetics who could be having a reaction,
Yep.
and physically unable to move kind of things.
Right. And any kind of mental disabilities too. So like our veterans that come back that have PTSD, or you have individuals that have depression and anxiety, severe enough that it limits their day-to-day activities. You know, a child that has autism, those kinds of things too. So those invisible disabilities.
Right. So now
as well.
these animals are going to cost a fair amount of money. Who pays for those? I mean, does insurance pay for them?
That I don't think
variable.
so. It's variable, and it depends too. Again, if you want to get the program dog, which those are going to cost the 5 digits. You know, you're looking $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 or more for those dogs
Wow.
because of the amount of training that it takes for
5
them.
years of training.
And then, but there are some organizations who will do help the owner do training for their service dog. The one organization that I have a chance to volunteer for as a trainer does that is the person will contact the organization, and then they will bring their dog in to have them evaluated, and then we see, does the dog have the temperament, does it have
And you did your own training at much less price.
right, yes. And it depends on the organization of, you know, what it does, because the one I do is a veterans-based organization, and so, again, in order to help the veterans, the costs are kept low. And like me, mine is all volunteer basis.
Okay.
So,
Right.
and then if the owner's dog looks like it's going to work out, then we work with them. We figure out, okay, what tasks do you need based on their documented
Right.
disabilities,
Okay.
and then if it's you know, brace and balance for you know, movement and mobility, then we help them learn how to teach their dog to walk in a harness.
So you teach them how to do it, and they can teach their own dog to do it, and they don't have to go
Yes.
quite through all of the
Right,
of the hoops.
right. Because it just helps form that bond right away if they're starting, whereas if you get the traditional program dog, they haven't had that chance to bond with you.
Yeah.
But the organizations that do work with owners and their own dogs, then that bond is being formed right away.
And to get the names of those organizations or to get in contact?
One of the places that we typically recommend people to go, so because there's no regulation in the service dog industry, unfortunately.
Right.
There are some bad organizations out there, so typically I recommend people go to Assistance Dogs International.
Assistance Dogs International or Google it.
Yes, I think, can't remember if it's .org or not.
All
So,
right. A man from Aberdeen says, I am a single 55-year-old man. I cried more and was more emotionally affected at the death of my dog than when my father died. That still bothers me. Is that normal?
might be. Depends on the relationship with the parents.
Yeah. Well, my
So,
my sense is that all of the baggage that when you're raised by a family, if there's some internal anger and frustration and so on and so forth, the dog was just unconditional love.
exactly.
Although I can tell you, my dog will look at me sometimes, and it isn't complete unconditional. Why did you do that? But they're so smart, those dogs. It's amazing. Well, I would not be bothered by that. I think that this is very understandable, and that the amount of crying that you did with your father's death does not indicate how much it mattered to you. So I think.
And it also, when the dog passed, then that allowed those emotions and stuff from
That
the
might have
death
been
of a
his dad.
parent to come out with the loss of a beloved pet.
I love
So-
that point, and I think that's there. A man from Sioux Falls has a cat that is a picky eater, and if she eats food with dyes, she pees blood, or the dye is what I'm going to answer. The recommended food she refuses to eat and can't maintain a healthy weight. Any other food recommendation? So you have a cat that's a picky eater and is probably allergic to some dyes, or it could be the dyes coming out in her urine. I know that if you eat beets, we all have beet red urine,
Right.
but it isn't blood.
Right.
But this might be a true bleeding situation.
It could be, and that would be the one where it really needs to be, it's a medical issue and
Take her to
really
the
needs
vet.
to go to the vet to be checked, just to rule out other things.
Yeah.
And then go from there.
You know, it might have been in her younger years that cat smoked a lot of cigarettes, and there's a problem with cancer of the bladder in smokers. But maybe I'm talking more human than animals, I don't. A woman from Rapid City wonders if it would help veterans with a post-traumatic stress disorder to ride horses and build a relationship with a horse. You have real experience with that.
It can, and I can't remember the place, but there are some places that are starting to do that, where they're having a setup where they have veterans come in and interact with horses, so they're responsible for day-to-day care of the horses, so feeding, grooming, keeping feet clean, keeping tack clean, and then riding. And then again, it's that unconditional love. That horse is not judgmental. Well, I mean, if you do something wrong, you might
That
get
horse
kicked,
might be
get
judgmental.
kicked and might bite. I mean, but it's not going to do it out of spite. The horse isn't going to do it because of how you look, or how you talk, or how you move. So it's that truly just unconditional love. And I think it would be a great program. And especially those too that have had injuries, you know, if they have the medical release to ride, just if they're having, you know, back spasms and stuff, just that action of walking on a horse, you know, sitting on a horse while it's walking can help relieve.
Well,
a
and
lot
you know,
of
you have to
that.
get
So-
out of the igloo
Yes.
to come and take care of that horse. I mean,
Yes.
how many of those
So
people are isolating themselves?
Yep. And so that's, again, it's a motivation to get them out of isolation.
Right.
And then when they're there, as we saw in the Stars riding clip, is they can interact with other veterans.
Yeah.
And maybe not even really talking, but they're just there with
They're-
each other, and so they're not as isolated.
You don't have to
So
chat with some people to
Right.
be with them and enjoy their company. Here's from Facebook. Thank you, Kathleen. I have a mobility service dog. She helps me by picking up things I drop, getting the phone or TV remote, and taking off my socks. I have rheumatoid arthritis, and she enables me to be independent. Isn't that a
That's
great
awesome.
story? Taking off your
That's
socks.
I've seen it. It's kind of quite cool, and especially when you initially start to teach it, it can be a lot of fun, which again helps that individual because it's bringing some joy and some laughter into what's going to end up being a task for them. So,
There is a Facebook support group that, what would be, I've got somebody, South Dakota service dog, Google it, and that would be a good place to go. A man from Sioux Falls has, a woman from Rapid City wonders if it would help veterans with a post-traumatic, we did that. A Facebook comment says, we did that one too. A woman from Sioux Falls, I'm sorry. A woman from Sioux Falls asks, I knew an elderly person who had a cat for many years, and suddenly the cat got sick, and the vet put the cat to death. After that, she was devastated by the losses of the cat. What is it that can be done for an elderly person who had a pet, suffers emotional trauma from losing the pet?
getting another cat may or may not help. Depends on how attached they were. I've had friends and even a parent that once the family pet was gone, it's like, I do not want another pet. I don't want to have to take care of it. But maybe, if this individual is mobile, is going to take them out to a Humane Society. Go and visit the cat rooms. Like here in Brookings, our regional Humane Society has cat rooms. You can go in there, you can sit with them and see that. Because again, then that's getting that individual out, and then it's helping her maybe by reacting with some kittens or some older cats. Yeah. And then it's also benefiting those cats as well, because it's giving them interactions with people, which can help their chances of being adopted.
Right.
So
it makes me think about the fact that you don't want another cat because you can't stand the loss of another one.
Right, exactly.
But my sense is that going through that kind of a loss makes you realize you're a human being and you are connected.
Yep.
And I would ask people to realize that's okay. It's sort of like crying at Hallmark movies.
Right, right.
That it's okay, you know.
right.
It releases things. It makes you cleaner inside. I promote those things. Of all the ways people acquire a pet, one of the best is when they are rescued. At some of the humane societies, there's a program to help senior people connect with senior animals.
Our Seniors for Seniors covers anyone who considers themselves a senior, veterans, or someone with a disability. Usually animals over the age of 7 are considered senior. To go through the adoption process, basically you come in, you would meet all of our animals. We could tell you a little bit more about who's a senior here, just their life, what kind of animal they are. Then you just basically fill out the paperwork. With the Seniors for Seniors program, there's a free will donation adoption fee. You could either choose to pay the fee or just take your animal home once we get that paperwork done, and then they can go home that day. A lot of times it's with cats. It's not like it doesn't happen with dogs, it just seems to happen more with cats. And I would say we probably get 2 or 3 of every month where seniors will come in, look for an animal. A lot of times they don't know about our program. Sometimes we don't have senior cats or senior dogs. I would say probably 2 to 3 times a month a senior adopts a senior animal of some sort. I'm not exactly sure when it started, but we've been doing it for several years now, and it's really been kind of a joy to watch. So this older lady came in, she didn't know about the program, and she was kind of worried about, should I adopt, shouldn't I adopt, I'm a little bit older, and she met one of our senior animals. Goodness, I can't remember his name, but he was a huge older cat, and she just fell in love with him, adored him. So she left that night, and then she came back the next day with her husband, and they took him home, and that one for some reason really stands out just because of how excited she really was. She kind of came in and just wanted to, chill with the animals, kind of relax and pet them a little bit, and then the next day she ended up with a new family member, so she was really excited about that. I don't ever feel like age should be an inhibiting factor in if you should adopt an animal, and I think it's really cool to have, to see the bonds that grow between animals and people who are adopting them in the Seniors for Seniors programs.
That was a great story about senior people and senior animals. I know that in the nursing homes, animals are a very wonderful thing. That lonely people or people who feel it gives them somebody to love that loves them back unconditionally. But they also have birds in the hallway, that are wonderful. And there's at the United Living community, this has been a nursing home that's connected to a daycare center that also has a history of welcoming animals. There's a variety of different animals, off and on, depending upon the time and the people that brought them in. But there's one cat that will go into the room of the person who's dying.
Yep, I've heard of that multiple times.
And that's a real deal. That cat was in my mother-in-law's room and was great consoling essence, alive, something there to support. Any comments about those, the elderly?
It is truly beneficial because I have had a comfort therapy dog over the years, and that's primarily where we went, is to assisted living facilities, nursing homes, and memory care units. And then to see these individuals that look forward to you coming every week because they may not have family, or if they have family, the family may not be in the area, and so they're isolated. And I can remember one individual that I used to take my golden retriever to, she never wanted to pet him, but she just loved looking at him and watching him. And then, I would get him to do some tricks and stuff. And so that just, it engaged her with me, and we would talk about different things. We would talk about, she raised horses actually when she was younger and her husband was still alive as well. They raised and showed quarter horses, I think.
Wow.
And so just his presence then encouraged that social interaction.
Great
which
comfort.
Is so, yep.
So there's that category of animals called comfort animals.
Right.
And then there's this emotional support animals.
Right.
And then there's service animals.
Right.
Is that the list?
Kind of, yes. That's how I would classify them. And really it comes down to who are they working for and what is the training that they go into. And so if we look at the service dog, that's going to be the dog that has the most amount of training, because again, they are being trained to serve a disabled person and to mitigate that person's disabilities.
And the major thing about them is that they are, it is required that people allow those animals into their
they
public
have,
place.
legally, they're covered by the ADA, and so they have public access rights.
Now the others now are different.
Right. Then the emotional support animal also works for its owner, but it doesn't have the public access rights because it doesn't have to be task trained. So it doesn't have to be trained to pick up keys. It doesn't have to be trained to help counterbalance its owner who's losing its balance. The emotional support dog really is there for that emotional support and comfort. So maybe a person who has anxiety or depression, or maybe both, or some other mental health challenges, and not enough again to qualify maybe as a disability in a service dog, but enough that their doctor, their medical professional knows that they can benefit by the presence of that animal. And those animals too are pretty amazing. So even if they've not been trained for this, they know when their owner is not doing so well, and typically they will come up and they will cuddle with them. Or they'll come up and they'll do what we call interruptive behavior. Like, you know, they might start poking you with the nose. They might start pawing at you if you're starting to cry uncontrollably. Or if they know you're sad, you know, dogs and even cats too are really good at reading those feelings, and they'll come up and they'll cuddle with you.
Right.
So, which is amazing. So,
and the government has allowed those people to have those animals, even in a pet's not allowed.
right. An
apartment
emotional support animal, if you have the medical documentation, can go into most no pet housing. There is some differences depending on the size of the rental unit, but if they have the medical documentation there, and the dog has overall good manners, is house trained, then they can be allowed in no pet housing.
Right.
So.
Now the comfort support is just really
Right.
a pet, a
that's
loving.
kind of a comfort therapy dog. There's two main organizations. One of them does have therapy in their name, and then another one doesn't have therapy, but they have their own certification programs. So people can train their dogs, take their certification test, and then they can be a certified therapy or comfort dog through those organizations. And then those dogs work for other people. And then there's also just like regional place organizations too, not nationwide. A good example would be with the shootings in Las Vegas here recently. There was a team of golden retrievers. They go around to these unfortunate incidents. They also went to Sandy Hook as well when there was the shooting at the elementary school. These dogs are trained as comfort dogs. They have great skills to be out in public. They're calm, easygoing dogs, and they go in there and they provide support and emotional support for the first responders, for victims, for survivors, and anybody else who may be affected by those events that have happened. And then we have, you know, like my dogs then would go to, you know, again, long-term care facility, assisted living, memory care. Memory care was amazing because these people who were locked in their shell because of their disease, sometimes we could get them to interact with the dog. And even if it was just to reach out and pet a little bit, their caregivers would say that's more than they've done all day.
Right.
So it's just amazing. So, you know, and again, depending on where you're at location-wise, those dogs need to be trained, and they may have some certifications.
Right.
But it varies.
Now, if I were going to want to take my dog on the airplane because I have a need for a dog, this is an emotional support
That
dog.
will be an emotional support dog with the documentation.
And you have to have documentation that the dog is trained and doesn't.
You don't have to have documentation, but for the dog's training per se.
But you have to have documentation that you have a disability of some kind.
Right. And the dog needs to be well behaved, because if it's not, they can ask you to deplane.
Throw the dog out the window. in the
Well,
airplane.
hopefully
Probably
they won't do that.
deplane.
So-
Bring the plane down to the ground. Sorry.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
sorry. Here's a comment from Hope. My brother recently got a puppy, and it's been a great therapy for him. Can you recommend a good dog training group in Rapid City that he could join? I'm not.
I do know of some off the top of, but I can't think of them off the top of my head. So if they have a way to contact
Just
you, and
contact us on prairiedoc.org, leave us a message, and we will
We'll
have
get
you
them
get
hooked up. Yep.
that information to us, and we can
Yep.
share that with you. That's So, you know, there's no question about the health benefits of animals. I keep thinking in my own brain that 50,000 years ago, that wolf that was sick that you took, that some gentleman or some gentlewoman took care of, brought him in the cave, and the added benefit of the warmth of the animal and the fur leaning against you as you're trying to stay warm in a cold night kind of brought them together. Yes. So, and the next question is from Rapid City, who asked why PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, which is mainly that what we're seeing following war, always mentioned with veterans. Can other people have PTSD too? And I will give an answer, and,
I was going to say, that's
I want
you
your
or
answer
your
as
field
well.
too.
Post any trauma, after any trauma, all of us will have some kind of reaction. Sometimes it's an acceptable one. It makes us nervous when we're in a situation that's similar to the trauma that we had. And I think of patients who've been in car accidents or motor vehicle accidents. I have one patient who had been hit head-on by a motorcyclist who drove right into the vehicle, and that person cannot forget the vision of that night. I have another story of a veteran who was saw a little boy out run in front of his vehicle, and of course the little boy had a bomb. And of course the story there was not a very happy story, but whenever he saw little children, he just fell apart. Some of that is adrenaline surge.
Right.
Would you extrapolate on that? You've worked with veterans.
It really does depend on their combat experience as well, you know, all those things. So there's flashbacks, you know, certain things, sounds, smells, sights may trigger some of those flashbacks. They may have nightmares during the night as well. They can have tremendous feelings of anxiety as well. And so the dogs, the PTSD dogs then are, again, depending on what they're having issues with. If the person has serious issues with the nightmares, reliving experiences as nightmares, the dog is trained to wake them up. Basically to go physically wake up their owner.
And
the dog,
snuggle with them and lick them.
To help calm them down and stuff, but they can also go turn on a light. They may go seek somebody else out in the house. So go find another family member. If the person is out and about and the dog can sense via the chemical changes, the smells going on in its owner, that maybe they're starting to have a flashback or they're starting on the verge of a panic attack, the dog again may do some behaviors to interrupt that. So like poking with the nose, licking, pawing, potentially if it continues, jumping up on them. So the dog's behavior may escalate to help interrupt some of those types of behaviors.
The trauma.
Yep.
You mentioned odor, and I mean there is an odor of panic, is there not? But I will tell you that there's also an odor of Clostridium difficile infection in hospital or nursing home. And that is an overgrowth infection related to antibiotics wiping out the normal flora, and in comes an invading organism. Well, it was an organism that was there, and then you have problems. And there is a clue to that by odor. Now, when it's terrible and it's severe, you don't need to be a specially trained dog to know that that was Clostridium difficile. The nurses can recognize it. But when it's early, the dogs can pick it up. And there's research that was reported in the New England Journal on that very issue. Have you heard any of that?
A little bit, but it doesn't surprise me. I mean, they're using beagles now to detect bed bugs in hotels, and so if they can detect bed bugs, I would think that they would be able to detect a person who's having issues with C. diff.
Yeah, well, and bed bugs have an odor to them, apparently.
Exactly.
I've heard that. Not an odor that you and I can taste.
Right.
A woman from Rapid City, a man from Rapid City asked earlier on the show, you were talking about the nutritional value of flaxseed. I was wondering if there was a nutritional difference in golden flax versus brown flax.
I'm not sure off the top of my head.
I can give you an answer, though,
Okay.
that I have.
Okay.
I have purchased both the brown flax and the golden flax.
Okay.
And the golden flax is nutty,
Yes,
and it's
that's
delicious.
what I would probably, yes.
And the browner flax is not as tasty. And I give you this other caveat, that if you buy it already ground, oftentimes you can smell that rancid oil.
Yes. Yep.
It gets old. But if you don't break the seed, you can have old golden flax, which is what I have because I have a patient that would bring me golden flax, Mr. Wonder from a golden flax seed business, and so I don't take gifts from patients except I do take golden flax, and so. Even if it's very old, you can grind it in a coffee grinder.
Right, that's
and
what I
only
do.
grind a little bit. That's what you do.
Yep. Keep the whole seeds in the freezer, and then again use a coffee grinder to grind what you want. And then if you do have a little bit left over, just put it back in the freezer.
So if we're going to take, let's talk about invisible disability in the 2 minutes that we have left.
Okay.
Invisible disabilities. Someone was asking, I see this person looks perfectly normal walking in with a service dog vest, and I'm thinking they're abusing the deal. What can be happening?
Oh, they could have a number of things. They could have PTSD, like we talked about.
Right.
That could be a medical alert dog for a number of conditions, like diabetes.
Seizures.
So it could be also a seizure alert or seizure response dog.
Diabetes, that hypoglycemic episode that gets too low.
Exactly.
They can. I'm sure they don't pull a syringe out and that would no.
No, the
but they
dogs
could call
are,
for help. They could get help.
Yes, and they can be trained to get medications too. So typically, those dogs that are going to be medical alert dogs for seizures or whatever usually will carry a pack with medicine, or the owner may have it with them as well, and then the dog recognizes the medication bag and will get that and bring it to the owner, or they are taught to go seek somebody else when the owner is in such circumstances.
With a glucagon injection in their mouth going, give them,
right.
rin,
There you
tin,
go.
tin, help today.
Right.
So the psychiatric dog, I mean, to have a psychiatric illness and have a service dog, to me it is very unheard of. I mean, I think it's a really good thing that potential is huge there.
It is huge, because especially when, whether it's a veteran with PTSD or a victim of domestic violence that has PTSD, that dog's going to give them the confidence and the ability to go back out into the world instead of being, stuck in their house or their apartment, being isolated. And then we know the impact that social isolation could have on health. It's not good. And so these dogs then allow these people to have a better chance at life, at a more normal life. Things that you and I take for granted, going to a movie, going to the grocery store. These are things these people can't do, because just the thought of
getting out in
even
a crowd.
the process of getting ready to go to the grocery store can take some of these people hours because of just building up, calming themselves down, building themselves up to have the confidence to go out. And these dogs then help provide that confidence and that support, which is really nice.
So we've got just a little bit left. Any take-home messages? Oh, we're out of time. Never mind.
All right.
Well, we've got 30 seconds. We don't have 30 seconds. 5 seconds. And now for the winner of tonight's Prairie Doc quiz question. I'm having trouble with anxiety. Should I get A, a service dog for anxiety, or B, an emotional support dog? And the answer is B.
B.
But it could be an A,
It could
too.
be an A, depending on how. So it was maybe a little bit of a trick question that the professor gave.
It was a sneaky question. Service dog requires certified disability, and the dog is very specialized training, but an emotional support dog does not require certified disability. So B is the best answer, I think.
Probably.
It was Margaret Pop from Fulda, Minnesota, who answered the question correctly. Thank you, Margaret, for participating, and a book will be in the mail to you soon. We'll be right back after this.
Because you don't want to miss out on the little things. Because you want to be there for life's important milestones. There are many reasons to get life-saving cancer screenings. More than 4,000 women die each year from cervical cancer. But regular screenings can prevent this cancer and catch it early. Do it for the people you love.
Promise?
Promise. Promise.
Promise. Promise.
Make the promise to get screened. For more information about life-saving screenings or available financial assistance, visit getscreenedsd.org.
If you ask any of the members of my family to describe us, each would likely include our dog in that description. Our current dog, Sasha, was discovered at the Humane Society by our daughter, Julia. I asked Julia, why do you think our dog is good for us? She quickly came back. Sasha is playful and joyful, yet calming, soothing, relaxing, and comforting. She said, Sasha is sad when you're sad and happy when you're happy, a companion that loves you unconditionally, and on top of all of that, she is so cute. Our son Preston points out how the dog protects our home by bark warning us of intruders and cleaning the floor of bug-alluring food spilled from the dinner table. Our son Carter referenced how the dog says to us in dog speak, "Car ride, I want to go," or "Family is home, hooray!" Carter says it has something to do with her innocence, blind faith, and pure enthusiasm. The 4 dogs I have loved in my lifetime each could be described by those same descriptors. It doesn't matter whether a person is emotionally devastated or filled with confidence. Everyone can use a little companionship and unconditional love, especially during the lonely times that we all face from time to time. Different than a loving pet is a specially trained service dog. Service dogs are guide dogs to help direct those who are blind, and hearing dogs to help alert those who are hearing impaired. Dogs can pull a person in a wheelchair, protect a person having a seizure, remind a person with mental illness to take their medicine, and calm a person with post-traumatic stress disorder during an anxiety attack. Recently, miniature horses have been helpful for some disabled, and after special training are being accepted as service animals as well. Service dogs, and sometimes miniature horses, are allowed in places which serve the public, like restaurants or libraries. To allow this, however, the dogs and horses must be certified as specially trained, and the disabled must fulfill certain requirements as well. Separate from these service animals are animals providing comfort and emotional support. Comfort animals are allowed to live in housing that has a no pets policy when a medical professional certifies that the individual has a verifiable disability and that the animal provides a benefit. Different from service dogs and miniature horses, comfort and emotional support pets do not need special training. No question, our dog Sasha provides plenty of comfort and emotional support. Well, a big thank you to our guest, Dr. Elizabeth Droke. We appreciate her volunteering to join us in the studio tonight, and a great big hello to Sasha. Sasha! Well, it's that time of year again. The flu season is arriving. Getting your shot now will give you the best protection during the coming months. South Dakota usually has one of the highest vaccination rates. Let's keep that good record going. And there is an event that recognizes the fight against pancreatic cancer. It's the 2017 Light the Capitol Purple ceremony on Sunday, October 29th at 3 p.m. in the Capitol Rotunda in Pierre. It promises to be interesting, and I'm going to give a little talk. We would encourage anyone who can to attend. That does it for tonight. From all of us here at On Call with the Prairie Doc, until next time, stay healthy out there, people.
Once you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains is the truth. Sherlock Holmes, an image from a diagnostic physician. Next time, On Call with the Prairie Doc.
Major funding for On Call with the Prairie Doc has been provided by
Avera is a proud sponsor of On Call on South Dakota Public Broadcasting.
Larson Manufacturing is proud to support On Call Television as it continues to open doors for important medical information.
And by the South Dakota Foundation for Medical Care, the Medicare Quality Improvement Organization for South Dakota.
and with the ongoing support of these individuals and institutions.
Brookings Health System, Ophthalmology Limited,
Avera Heart Hospital, Dakota Allergy and Asthma, Fishback Financial Corporation, Vance Thompson Vision,
Aberdeen District Medical Society, Black Hills Medical Society, 3rd District Medical Society, Brookings, Madison, and Flandreau, Dakota Bank, Orthopedic Institute, Physicians Care Sanford Clinic Community Service Committee, and Swiftel Communications.